Okay, what is up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. So, it is an interesting day in the markets, week in the markets, past 2 weeks in the markets. Very, very volatile environment. And as we can see on the screen, Euro is absolutely flying right now. Very interesting moves in the markets. But I hope everyone's doing well regardless. Hope everyone's doing good and is ready for the stream. If you are enjoying the content, guys, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you do check out the Elevating Trades Discord channel, completely free to join. Find updates there regarding elevating traders. You can post your ideas there, share ideas, see what other people are looking to trade. I share my ideas there too. So if you're interested, make sure you go check it out. Link in the description and also at the top of the chat. Welcome to the stream, Ahmed. Good morning. Hope you're well. What is up, Ivan? Good morning. Hope you are doing good. So a lot to go through today. As always, we'll go through the dollar. We'll start with DXY, USD majors, gold, silver. Take a look at some indices as well. Any specific request markets you're looking at, different time frames, let me know. Drop it in the chat and we will discuss. But first thing is first, the DXY. So, yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride. We closed pretty strongly bearish yesterday. And as we've opened up for the new daily candle, had a bit of a gap to the downside and another strong push. And it's not even half the day yet. So the market is extremely bearish right now, taking up major lows and trading below 100. Very, very big key psychological level for the dollar. And we're trading below it, and we've also taken up lows here back from June 2023. So the market is a bit in free fall right now. We're still trading at areas of support, so I wouldn't really be looking to try and sell the dollar unless, of course, you're a bit more intraday. You're trying to get in and out. Then, of course, you can find some opportunities. The market is pretty volatile right now, and perhaps it could drop. We could see another big drop for this one. No questions asked. But in terms of solid opportunities from a swing perspective, we do want price to find support, pull back before looking at more shorts. But we have taken out some major lows here, which does indicate more downside for the dollar in terms of price action, at least. Of course, in terms of fundamentals and what's going around in the news, that's a different situation there as well. But very strong impulsive move to the downside here for dollar. I do think naturally retracement is going to come into the market. We've had two very big bearish moves, one over there, slight pause, another bearish move here as well. So naturally, I do think the market is due a bit of a correction. We've taken out some major lows on the left as well. So again, that's another reason why I do expect price to find support eventually and see some upside. Now, dollar is still very bearish, and we're probably going to still see more downside, but pullbacks I do think are on the cards. But by no means I'm saying jump in to buy the dollar. I think that's still a bit of an aggressive position right now, taking everything into context and the lack of price action as well. Hourly chart still looking bearish there as well. So I think buys in the dollar are still pretty aggressive. But maybe in the next coming days, we do start to find support and have some pullbacks. There are some nice areas up here on the daily chart, which do look good for a retest if price is kind enough to get there. And that could be a really nice place for a short, a nice swing position as well, 101.5. But at the moment, just very, very crazy move there for the dollar. And we're looking exceptionally bearish and taking out some major lows. So I do think we're going to find support soon and have a bit of a pullback. Likewise for Euro USD as well. If I start on the weekly chart, you can see what we're doing, taking out some major highs as well. So again, Euro looking exceptionally bullish. Two really big moves. This one's actually bigger than that one. That was a very big move when it happened. But this move here is even bigger, funny enough. So, wow, yeah, Euro's just been so bullish. Of course, dollar weakness has helped that tenfold as well. And we've taken out some major highs. I do think longer term, we're probably likely to see price push right back into some major resistance on the yearly time frame. Probably going to push back to maybe 1.2. I think that could still be a while away, but I don't know, given the circumstance, how aggressive everything is. Maybe it's going to happen quicker than I'm expecting. But yeah, we're creating some new highs. I'm not interested in buying the market anymore, especially of what we've done. I do think the market's likely to find some resistance, retrace a little bit. The bigger move is probably still to the upside at this point, but I would want to see some pullbacks. If I can drop to the daily chart, at least back to some of these areas before considering looking to long. Perhaps even a retest of the high here on the left could be a nice level, but yeah, at the moment it's just in the middle of nowhere a little bit, taking out crazy highs from 2023. So the market is parabolic right now, but we need that retracement for some longs. Again, maybe intraday there might be some nice buys to really ride that momentum, take advantage of what the market is providing right now. But the goal of on the lower time frame, trading on the lower time frame, is to be in and out. You get in, take the momentum, get out, and don't overstay your welcome. Swing trading, you're trying to capitalize on the bigger move. So we need some bigger pullbacks, and at the moment, euro is not really showing signs of that just yet. But in terms of euro, very bullish. I think the top's going to form soon. Again, news is definitely driving euro at the moment, so take that with a pinch of salt. But I do think eventually we'll see some pullbacks and hopefully some nice longs. 1.12 looks good. 1.11. 1.115 as well looks really good. So that's kind of what I'm interested in with the euro at the moment. But yeah, very, very, very bullish. Pound USD, pretty bullish as well. Not as bullish as the euro, but still a pretty decent move. I said I was looking to sell this one as we do come back into the range. Of course, with dollar absolutely melting, it was very, very difficult to get that sell. And as price got back into that consolidation, we just continued to rip to the upside. No real rejection for me to actually get into a position. We slowed down a little bit over there, but yeah, the market was just ripping, and now we've broken back to the upside of the range. So it's been a very interesting move for pound USD, because we had this range, price kind of fake to the upside, now fake to the downside, now it's breaking back to the upside again. I'm looking now for pound USD to do something like this, correct, retest the range, and actually use it as support finally, to potentially start the next up move. So my focus for pound is now going to be the high of the range rather than the low. And now we're looking at something like this for continuation. And perhaps we're going to see pound USD make a similar move to euro in terms of making a push back to highs we haven't been in for a while, or at least since September 2024. So looking very, very bullish there for pound USD as well. I think it's very interesting to see how this weekly candle does close, because last week's candle provided us a big wick to the upside. So basically telling us that resistance here is failing to hold. And we're likely going to have a move to the downside, which we did. Price respect to some areas down here and then absolutely ripped to the upside. So now with this weekly candle close, it's telling us that, okay, resistance was holding, but not anymore. And now we're going to get possibly, of course, the week hasn't finished yet, but most likely a strong close above that resistance. So that tells me that, okay, price is still very bullish. We're still probably going to push the upside. This high is likely to be taken out. And next big level would be 1.34. Which is up there. So that's kind of where I'm expecting price to head towards next for pound USD. And of course, with USD being very weak, there's a good chance we do see continuation there. So yeah, pound, two fake outs really, 1 and 2. Now looking for us to actually come back and successfully test the range, but it looks like this is just a higher low, and now we're going to continue to rip. In terms of dollar CAD, this one just falling. Really nice break and retest for this one, and it actually dropped very hard on Wednesday. Haven't looked back since. I think we're testing that big weekly level at the moment. Let's see if it actually holds the support or we continue to crack through that. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we do break through, because again, looking where we have rejected, if you look to the left, massive resistance once over there, twice over there, and the third time, these two moves from that level have been colossal. So, who's to say we can't do a third one of those type of moves? We could very much do that. Of course, right now we're coming into support, so we'll see how price reacts with it. There could be some nice buying opportunities as we come into this level, but I will be very patient with that right now. USD looks really, really weak, so we could very much break through this. But if we do start to see some rejection, wicks forming, price slowing down, support forming, then yeah, there could be a nice buy and taking advantage of a bit of retracement. Maybe back into this low or perhaps this low. That could be a nice counter trend play. But yeah, I need to see a bit more evidence that support is holding here before jumping into any longs. But pound USD is in the big level, is in a big level support right now. So if the plan is anything, is to be looking to buy it. The market's already had a big move, so if you're looking to sell, kind of already want to be in the position, or if you're in the lower time frames, you want to be in and out pretty quickly because we've already had quite a big move. So the market is still a little bit stretched there. In terms of Aussie dollar, it looks like this one is reversing on the higher time frames, a very sharp recovery from last week. We had a very aggressive sell-off on Friday, and then price pretty much reversed most of that this week. You can see on the weekly candle there, big bearish candle down. Now we're recovering that pretty aggressively, back above this support level here on the left. So the way I see it, that this bearish move might have been a bit of a fake out potentially. I still need to see a bit more upside to be convinced of that, but this could still potentially be a bit of a bottom for Aussie dollar and could be the start of potentially a bit of an up move. If USD is going to continue falling, then probably Aussie dollar is going to push up. Of course, it does depend on what Aussie dollar is going to do. We are coming back into some bearish territory right now, so I wouldn't be looking to buy the market at all. This is where we stalled last week, and then we had that crazy move down, and it looks like we're becoming a lot slower now on the 4-hour chart as well. So I do think we'll probably get a move to the downside for Aussie dollar in the next day or two. But I do think it would just be a correction for us to continue higher. I did speak on the buys for Aussie dollar yesterday. If we can come back and perhaps retest some of these areas, that would be a nice place for a long. I still think so. So price can get there, kind of lining up with this low here on the left a little bit. I think that would be a nice place for a long and possibly trying to catch that bigger reversal, which is definitely on the cards here. But yeah, Aussie dollar coming back into supply resistance, 0.625 we'll call it. I think that could be a nice place for a sell, perhaps more so on the hourly chart. Maybe another drive to the upside, respects the high there again. That could be a nice short, potentially this afternoon or maybe early next week. And if we do pull back, then 0.61, I think that looks like a nice place for a long and trying to catch a bit of a bounce there. But I do think slowly we might be seeing a bit of a reversal there for Aussie dollar. And the USD, same situation here as well. It does look like a reversal is happening on the higher time frames as well. If I scoot to the weekly chart, again, we had a very bearish candle last week, but that's pretty much been engulfed completely by this candle. Again, we still got 11 hours before the candle does close, but at this rate, it does look like that previous bearish candle has simply been engulfed. Support here has just been respected, and it looks like resistance here is about to break as well with that daily candle close. So that to me looks like a massive double bottom. Essentially, this bearish move has found support, and now potentially you might be seeing a move to the upside here for ends the USD. So it was pretty bearish coming into the week, but after this rejection, after such a big bearish move on Friday, completely just erased. That to me says that momentum tried to continue us lower, but completely failed. Support held, and now looking pretty bullish again. So I do think more upside is on the cards. In terms of buying the market, that's where it gets a little bit sticky because we are coming into resistance right now, so it's not the best time to be looking to buy, and the market is a little bit stretched as well. So it would be nice if we were to have a bit of a correction before pushing up, maybe back into this area here roughly, kind of giving us a bit of a inverse head and shoulder pattern with the left, with the head, and possibly right shoulder. That could be a nice buy potentially at some point next week. Or maybe if we see a big breakout, a break and we test at the level there, 0.58 could be something to think about as well. But in terms of direction, it does look like this one has more upside to give. The fact that all this momentum just turned on a dime and we shot back to the upside tells a lot. And that support held very, very well. So Yeah, in my book, NZD likely to push higher, just waiting for corrections and continuations. In terms of gold, yeah, gold is looking absolutely insane right now. What a recovery. We had a big sell last week. Prices engulfed that and then some. We're trading above 3,200 right now. So just look like there's no stopping gold right now, to be honest. We talked about a break. We tested this area. Unfortunately, just about missed that. And price flew to the upside. Um, I think the best way to play it is just intraday pullbacks, really. Intraday pullbacks is the best way to play it. That would have been a nice retest there. Didn't quite get that. Looks like price came back to retest some consolidation here on the left. Respected that pretty well early morning. Nice push to the upside. Now it looks like we are fading at highs there a little bit, but a break of that could again be a nice opportunity for a buy. Let's say this afternoon we break through, pullbacks, a retest of that zone would be a nice place for a buy as well. Very, very consistent with the higher lows. There's just a lot of momentum in the market right now. So I wouldn't be trying to go against that for gold, to be honest. Very strong close on the daily chart as well. I think we closed above that wick, didn't we? Yeah, we did. So that resistance completely kind of eliminated there. So yeah, gold just looking very, very bullish. Next big psychological level, I would say, is 3,300. We're just blasting through each one of them. We had 3K, then we had 3,100, 3,200. Now 3,300 is the next big one. Have we spiked 3,250? No, not quite there. So 3,250 is probably something I'll look at as well. And the next big one will be 3,500, which is still quite far up. But knowing gold, we might go and do that in a flash. And then, of course, we've got silver, which is still grinding higher, but not in a convincing manner. Of course, silver had such a big sell last week, so it's got a lot more work to do than gold. Gold didn't actually sell that too much last week. Silver did. I'm kind of looking at silver more so in the higher time frames just to gauge what the market is doing from a monthly perspective. We are still in an uptrend. Support is still roughly holding there, so it still does keep my bullish bias long term. But of course, with the weekly candle we had last week, the fact that we haven't really done too much as well is making me a little bit cautious. So as I said yesterday, with silver, I am wanting to see a bit of bullish structure. So I want to see some higher highs, higher lows form. Then perhaps I can start talking about some longs. Because I want the structure to be my favor. At the moment, there's just so much momentum. The fact that this bullish move still seems very corrective to me. It's not like we've blasted to the upside like gold. Gold had a very sharp recovery. Silver still looks really corrective. So that kind of gives me the impression that we could still probably have a bit of a sell-off there for silver, which I'm not really interested in just yet. So I want to see more convincing bullish price action for silver before I do hop into any longs. And then, yeah, we can start speaking about some long opportunities. Because I do think silver will just follow gold, to be honest, but it's having to work a lot harder. Yeah, that was a really big sell last week, but yeah, still bullish. Just need some structure to print before I do find any longs. But yeah, crazy week in the markets. What's up, Matt? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Anthony, what's good? Welcome. Bought S&P at 52.41, target 57. Okay, we'll go through the S&P for you, no problem. Kiddos, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Dollar CAD, I will have a look at it, no problem. Sultan, good morning. Hope you're well. What is up? We'll take a look at the S&P first. I'll probably go through some other indices as well. What's up, Godfrey? Good morning. Hope you're good. I want to buy UK 100 since we have... okay, we'll have a look at it. Pound NZD as well. We'll have a look. But yeah, indices were pretty crazy, of course, yesterday. Very, very big move to the upside. S&P, as you can see, that massive bullish engulfing candle. Anthony said you bought S&P at 52.41, target 57. Let me get that written in. 52.41. And targets 57. 42. Okay, looking for a pretty big move here. That's about there-ish. Yeah, so that's a pretty big move you're looking for there. I'm curious, where's your stop loss for the position? Because I think that will shed some light. Because if you, let's say if you got an entry there and your stop loss is here, for example, I think it's not a bad place for a stop loss. It's just that you're looking a lot for the S&P there. If I was in a buy position for the S&P, I'll be closely managing this because I'm not quite convinced yet that we're going through a major reversal. As in we're back to highs. Because if you get to 57.42, at that point, I'm probably just thinking S&P is going back to highs, really. So yeah, at that point, I'd be very, very bullish on the S&P because that means that all of this momentum that we had the drop for the past week or two is pretty much just erased. So for us to get back to 57.42, especially if you do that quickly, that pretty much tells me that this is a low and I'm expecting something like that to form and yeah, back to all-time highs really. So yeah, in terms of the buy position, I don't mind the location. I think the entry's in a nice place. If I drop to the 4-hour chart, I think the entry's in a really nice place. You know, coming back to test some prior resistance here. You had a lovely double bottom, strong break. Price has come back to retest that area, and we saw a pretty nice move there to the upside. It's just, I think the targets are a little bit confident. I would definitely suggest looking to manage that position a little bit more closely, perhaps as we come back into this kind of area, 54.40. That could be a nice area to take some positions off or trade a stop or however you want to manage it, or just see if how price reacts when we get there. Maybe we blast straight through, maybe price starts to reject it and looks pretty bearish. Well, at that point, you probably want to take some positions off or lock in some gains. So yeah, we could potentially get there. If this is a low, then maybe we do get there. But yeah, I wouldn't be so confident with the target there. I would definitely have some partial targets or looking to manage that trade quite closely as we push along, because there's still a lot of bearish momentum if we look to the left, which hasn't really reversed yet. I know we've had this big bullish candle close, not yesterday, the day before, but still we've got structure above us, which could send us back down again. So I like the entry. I think targets not in a bad place. It's just I would have other targets before that, and trail stops a little bit as well, just in case. Morning, Amir. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Sharif, hey, appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the stream. Yep, New Zealand CAD long. We'll take a look as well. Okay, 5088. Okay, so that's just below the wick here. So nice place for a stop loss as well. Below that wick, I like it. I think you're in a relatively safe area as well below that wick because we had a pretty aggressive rejection and price pull back up. And so far, we've seen numerous wicks to the downside. So I think it's a smart place for a buy. It's just, yeah, in terms of targets, I think that would be a very important area to focus on before that target. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that target up there. I just think having other targets before that could be quite helpful. Just in case price does start to struggle, you can be prepared to lock in gains along the way. But yeah, price is respecting that high. It was a really nice breakout. Price is showing signs of respecting that level. We could very much turn and see some more momentum to the upside for the S&P. So I think that's still a very nice place for a long. And yeah, if price does get to your stop loss, it probably isn't holding that area anyway. So you do want to be out of that position. So I think stop loss placement is in a sensible place as well. So yeah, I don't mind the trade. Just I'll look at some other targets as well. We'll go through FTSE as well. Then we'll take a look at pound, NZD, New Zealand CAD. We'll have a look see as well. Jeremiah, use these are, yes, we will take a look, no problem. Okay, so let's have a look at UK 100. So, okay, so he just about tapped into that area yesterday and had a nice wick, but momentum hasn't really picked up since then. There was a nice double bottom on Wednesday, and we've had a pretty sharp recovery of that. And we've had a slow move down, which is what I like to see. We kind of slowly push down as well. So I like the buys here for the FTSE. I probably would wait to see if we can get another push into the zone. Maybe another wick there. That would be nice. That could be a really nice buy, at least back into some resistance along here. And maybe if things go really well, we can see a push potentially back to the high there as well. If the FTSE is going to start to put in some support around these areas, perhaps we could see a bit of recovery as well. But looking on the higher time frames, it does look like price just naturally is in the area where you'll probably see buyers step in. I'm not too sure if we're going to see a recovery back to the all-time highs just yet. That was still a pretty bearish candle. We haven't really seen much momentum compared to that candle. I know we saw that strong bullish close, but in the context of things, doesn't really add up to much. So I think the buy still looks good there for FTSE, but I'll keep it relatively simple with targets back to 79.50. I think looks logical. And maybe you can leave some positions to run just in case we see a push back to the high as well. So yeah, I like FTSE buys coming back into a nice consolidation. This is where we spent a few hours at, or at least a day actually. Really strong move to the upside, and then we've had a pretty corrected move back down. So the price is slowly pushing down. We're seeing wicks. I think that would be a nice place for an entry, a nice place for a stop loss, and at least a push back to 79.50 as a target. And maybe if things go very well, 8100, 8150 potentially there as well. So yeah, that's kind of the plan for FTSE. I think there is a nice buy there. Again, still a little bit aggressive because we are going against that momentum from last week, but structure is allowing us to. So yeah, I do like that position. Okay, so we'll go through pound NZD next, and we'll take a look at NZD CAD as well. So it's looked like NZD's starting to find a bit more strength now, hence why pound NZD is pushing down still. It's becoming a pretty strong weekly candle. I know the week hasn't closed yet, but you can see last week's candle did break to the upside with a lot of momentum. Things are looking very bullish just for this week's candle to come straight back down. So it looks like we're potentially erasing last week's price action. Again, take that for a pinch of salt because we haven't closed yet, but it looks like that's what's happening. So on the daily chart, we did come back into some support this week. We've seen minor reactions. I was favoring a little bit more upside, but we didn't see much, to be honest. Price had a slight bounce, just met some supply, then the left came back down, another slight bounce, pushed the downside, another slight bounce. So it hasn't really amounted to much. This is just basically forming a very corrective, bearish descending channel right now. I feel like if we can get a strong close outside of that, for whatever reason, that could be a nice buy opportunity actually for pound NZD. I wouldn't be looking to try and take it back to the all-time highs. Thinking this is the indice. I wouldn't be looking to try and take it back to the highs over there, just because it looks like price potentially could be forming a bit of a top. But maybe something like this back into resistance there looks good. Perhaps back into this low here as well. That looks good. I think that looks like a nice target for the trade. You can always leave positions to run just in case we go higher, because we never to know what's going to happen with a position. Maybe it runs to the moon, or maybe it just goes, one eye in your direction before it reverses. But I reckon targets around there, pretty reasonable, 2.28. But it does look like pound NZD is trying to put potentially a bit of a top in. Yeah, if we continue and break structure, I see a strong weekly close. I think next week we might be looking at a bit of a move to the upside first, and then maybe a drop as well. But I'll wait for the weekly candle to close before I do confirm that. But yeah, we are still at support, so can't forget that. We're still seeing a lot of wicks here on the 4-hour chart as well. You can see a bunch of wicks there. So the market is clearly struggling to break through this area. This is, of course, where a lot of momentum came to the upside from last week as well. Is that last week? Yeah, I think so, last week. So we are still struggling, and potentially we could still see a buy, but I would wait for a much more convincing sign before finding an entry, especially based on how we're moving. Get a strong bullish engulfing candle that looks something like that. That would be a nice trade there on the hourly chart. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with pound NZD. We'll take a look at New Zealand CAD, and we'll go through USDZAR as well. Darkshire on GJ and the NAS, yes, we'll take a look. Anthony, good morning. I hope you're well. Thoughts on dollar, yen, and NAS too? Yes, of course, we will have a look see. So, I was going to take a look at next, New Zealand CAD. So, Amir, you said you've got a long daily trade on New Zealand CAD. Yeah, New Zealand CAD is looking very, very bullish at the moment. It looks like support on the left has held, and we were respecting it pretty well. So as we can see, humongous support, nice push to the upside. We're back there again. Lovely wick piercing through the area, but it's just amounted into a pretty strong reaction. So it looks like entities is gained some strength back pretty much against most currencies. Looks like entities finding some strength. In terms of a long daily position, I probably wouldn't be looking to enter any longs right now, just because your stop loss is going to be pretty big. You know, you're looking at a stop loss like that. I mean, this daily candle hasn't even closed yet, so not the best time to enter because it could still very much pull back and even close bearish or even push further. So I would wait for that daily candle to close, but even with that, I wouldn't take a trade in the daily chart. It's way too over, way too gone for that. And again, with the support level back down there as well. So I would wait to find a certain type of pullback before looking to the long. And by doing that, you could probably even drop lower to perhaps the 4-hour time frame for entries anyway, and just maximize your entry, your risk reward there a little bit. But yeah, we're coming to some bearish territory right now, so I wouldn't be looking to the long New Zealand CAD. Yes, the bigger move may still be to the upside for New Zealand CAD, but we want price to come back into support first before trying to find any entries, especially on the daily chart as well. As we come back into this low, as we come back into this area, these are where kind of sellers will be sitting and waiting to try and take price lower. And if you're looking to buy it, you don't really want to be buying directly into that. You want price to pull away back into bullish territory, which naturally would be back into support down there. And that would be a nice place to base a trade from. If anything, there could be some sales coming up pretty soon. And that was a really nice level of support, which we broke through with a lot of momentum. Your price can retest that. I do think naturally we'll have at least a bit of a pullback to look at. So yeah, New Zealand CAD, the bigger move could well be to the upside. It looks like support is holding and we could recover that, but not in the best place for a buy. I think we want to see price at least pull back a little bit first. Good morning, Yusuf. Hope you're well. What's up, Lauder? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Okay, let's have a look at USDZAR. I have no idea what has happened with this pair since we last looked at it. Okay, so we did get that pullback then. I wasn't too sure if we will have enough juice to see that happen. But yesterday I said if we can come back and retest this range here, which we just about did, that would be a nice place for a short because we had this humongous bearish move, of course, breaking out that consolidation. Now prices come back to retest it. Nice place for an entry, and these targets back at that low, kind of giving us that head and shoulder pattern, left, head, and right shoulder. I think price was trading over here when we last spoke. I said I wasn't too sure if price will have enough energy to come back and retest it, but we did. And we've had a successful retest there as well. But we've been trading in resistance, so naturally having that bearish bias, the market has been pretty bullish. But you can see where we're trading massive resistance. I'm pretty sure this is an all-time high for USDZAR, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it is. So naturally, buyers holding the longs on USDZAR, that's probably where they're going to have their targets. All-time highs, there isn't anywhere to aim beyond that, at least in reference to the market structure. So naturally, you probably will see some positions being exiting, and naturally, you're probably going to see price have a bit of a pullback as we're having right now. It's going to be interesting to see how the weekly candle does close, whether we should keep pulling back and maybe even flip bearish. That would be an interesting close in the week. Perhaps could see more downside next week as well. But in terms of what we're going to do at the moment, I would say the trade's kind of already gone, to be honest. That's kind of where you want to be entering a long, short, sorry. Now that we're approaching support, not the best time to be looking to short USDR right now. I think there still could be some nice longs for this one. I think as we come back into this area, this looks like a nice place for a bounce, but I would keep it short and sweet. I'm not looking at a continuation back to highs and beyond. We more so, we might kind of react with this to correct for perhaps maybe another sell. So yeah, I'll be skeptical of that, but I like this level 18.9. When we had the initial breakout of that, I did say a retest of this level would be nice to continue buying. We never had that retest. Now potentially we might see that happen. So that to me looks like the next best opportunity for USDR. But yeah, the sells have played out now. So yeah, that ship has sailed. Next best opportunity, perhaps the longs here. We'll see how we get there, how we react, whether it is actually a decent trade. But on paper, it does look pretty nice there as well. So yeah, USDR favoring a bit more downside. Keep it on 18.9. That might be a nice place for a bounce. But yeah, solid close on the daily chart. Nice bearish engulfing. Looks like we'll probably see a continuation of that. In terms of, let's take a look at GJ and NAS. So pound yen. Pound yen's been a bit of a mixed week for pound yen. It's been bearish, bullish, bearish, bullish. It's been all over the place. I mean, overall, still very bearish on the pair. I still think there's a lot more downside to be had. I'm still looking at the wick low over there at 180 as a long-term target. So my swing bias, if I put my swing cap on, I'm just looking to basically short the pound yen. Of course, when it's appropriate to do so. At the moment, not really looking to short it from a swing perspective anyway. This is back at support, and you price to kind of rip through this and pull back for me to short, or pull back away, potentially form another lower high before shorting. In terms of the lower time frames, the 5-minute chart, it does look like support is starting to form now, because we've had some lovely bearish structure. We've been trending to the downside pretty well, continuous lower lows and lower highs. Now price is starting to struggle at the lows here. We've got support there, and it looks like price is forming potentially a bit of a higher low to that as well. So I do think with pound yen, there might be some upside on the card. I'm not going to suggest a complete reversal as in a push back to the highs there. That could be the case, but I think that's a bit optimistic for me to try and predict that. Maybe a push at least back into resistance here, and that could end up being a nice play for a sell. Market's still pretty consistent with the lower highs, so I think if you're looking to try and catch another one, that's never going to be a bad call in this kind of market context. But the fact that we are struggling to break the lows is a bit of a red flag here. So I probably would wait on something like this happening. Another push into resistance, see how we react. That could be a nice sell to take it back down again. If we do start breaking structure and breaking through that, then perhaps we are going to get that reversal. And at that point, corrections and something like that would make sense. And maybe we are going to see a push back to the highs there. But the biggest takeaway from pound yen is that support is holding here. So perhaps we're going to push back into resistance now, and that could give a nice opportunity for a short. If resistance breaks and we see a pretty impulsive move, then I might even flip the bias to bullish here on the 5-minute and perhaps start talking about 189, 189.6 for price to push into. But the way I see it, we are losing that momentum at the moment, and perhaps might see some upside. It's been a pretty corrective move down as well, so I wonder if we are going to push up here. And if we break through resistance, then yeah, maybe we are going to get that bigger buy. You can see the hourly charts providing a lot of wicks here as well. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with GJ in the 5-minute. Let's take a look at NAS. Excuse me. NAS 100. This one had a nice test of that level again yesterday as well. Looks like all the indices pretty much did that. US 30, NAS, S&P. This was the level I was pointing out yesterday. Strong break of that level. Pretty healthy pullback, nice corrective slow. Provided some really nice wicks down the 4-hour chart. So naturally looking for a bit of a bounce. But exactly what I mentioned earlier on the stream of the S&P, I wouldn't be looking to try and shoot for the moon here. Potentially this could be a higher low for S&P long term. I mean, we did come back and respect a pretty interesting high over here on the left. Perhaps this is the low for price to push back to the all-time highs. It could be, but still there is resistance above us, and we got to stay alert to that, and that could still provide equally another swing back down again. So my long-term bias with the NAS, long-term bias with the S&P and US 30, well, my long-term bias, of course, is still bullish. But in terms of whether we're going to swing back to lows here or start to swing back to highs again, I'm not too convinced about either direction just yet. I'm kind of waiting for more candles to print, because we had that very big bullish candle on Wednesday. Yes, it's a big candle. It hasn't really done much since then. It's just come back to respect some resistance, and we respected it pretty well too. So I'm not quite convinced with the buys just yet. I need a bit more upside to be convinced. I'm not necessarily convinced that price can come straight back down either, because that was a very aggressive move. And of course, the markets are quite sensitive right now with everything happening in the news. So yeah, I think naturally, nice place for a buy. Seeing a lot of wicks on the 4-hour chart. I would expect to see a rally back to resistance, but that's my best guess. We'll see what happens there. Maybe we break through. Maybe we respect it. I'll monitor that, and hopefully we can get a better estimation of what the market's going to do next. But for now, I think this is a solid place for a buy. Dropping to the 5-minute chart. Yeah, I think from a 5-minute perspective, you probably want to see another move down before looking for a long, kind of coming back to this type of area. We've got one low there, second there, perhaps a third, and that could be a nice place for a long if we are going to see a higher low. You can see with the shorts, we kind of swept the highs here and then pushed down pretty hard. We might do that again, push back into resistance. That might be a nice sell in the 5-minute, back at the high there. But yeah, I mean, we are coming back to some supply on the left. I'm not too sure about that. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at for the NAS. Pretty much the same for the Dow Jones and the S&P as well. Okay, where was we? Let's take a look at dollar yen for Anthony. No problem, Jeremiah. Happy to help. Okay, dollar CHF. We'll take a look at that one. What's up, Lighton? Hope you're good. USDZAR, Aussie dollar. Okay, we'll take a look as well. So dollar yen. So yeah, dollar yen, I think last time I checked was absolutely dumping. Yeah, this is and this is more to do with I mean, yen's been a bit strong, but USD just been exceptionally weak. So this is absolutely just falling off a cliff right now. And I think USD is mostly to blame for this. But yeah, it looks like 140 is going to be hit. I wasn't I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. I did say 140 is my target, but I wasn't expecting it to happen so quickly. Everything's been so corrected with dollar yen. I thought we might go for a bigger pullback first before that happens, but it looks like 140 is going to be hit probably by next week, to be honest. So I think if you're looking to trade dollar yen, pullbacks look the best play. Price had that really strong bullish move, resulted into nothing really. Price just came back to respect the high, and we turned around. So the way I see it, if we can get another correction, most likely a lower high is going to form again, and we're just going to continue our journey. It's going to take a lot of effort for us to suddenly put a higher low here in reverse. I don't see that happening. So if we do see an up move there for dollar yen, most likely its price just coming back, taking a bit of a breather, forming another lower high, and continuing its path. We've got such a big level at 140 just below us. I think there's just a very high chance that the market is just naturally going to come back and test that, maybe even break through. But we can speak about that at a later date. But yeah, for now, it's just a lot of momentum. USD looks very, very weak right now. Yen is still a little bit strong as well. So that's just a recipe for disaster for dollar yen. And I only see this continuing to fall. So if it does pull back at some stage, that could be a nice opportunity, a nice retest of 145. That could be a nice area to look for a pullback. Even the low here as well, if you have a slightly deeper pullback, 146.5. But yeah, dollar yen, pretty bearish on this one. So yeah, dollar yen expecting more downside. We'll take a look at dollar CHF, USDZAR, Aussie dollar. A lot of USD pairs being requested. We'll take a look at them too, no problem. If you do enter dollar yen trade, where will your stop loss and take profit be? I'm not actually looking to enter dollar yen. I'm not really looking to trade dollar yen. The yen pairs I'm looking at is still euro yen. Just because there's not a lot of room for me to work with dollar yen. If I was looking to trade dollar yen, it would have to be a pullback at least to 145 or even 146.5, which is the prior low there. So entries, I'll be looking at the retest of that zone or the retest of that low there. But euro yen still at a big height, so I think there's a lot more downside there. Of course, euro is a little bit tricky right now because it's still strong, but I do think if euro yen can still respect resistance, it's likely to fall over. So I'm more focused on euro yen. But if I was to trade dollar yen, it would be that zone or that zone that I'm looking at for some shorts. Because there's a lot of momentum in the markets. I'm not expecting a big move for dollar yen. I'm not expecting something like this. And something like that happens, I have to kind of reanalyze. But yeah, something like that would look good. So you can probably get some entries on the hourly chart there. Okay, so let's take a look at dollar CHF. Yusuf, gold, euro, pound, 15. Okay, we'll have a look, no problem. Okay, agree, wait for correction, dollar yen. Yeah, it looks extremely bearish. I wouldn't be doing anything apart from looking to sell it, to be honest. Yeah, it's a bit stretched. Maybe there's a bit of a pullback due, so you can probably look to try and buy that. But I think you're going to have a bit more luck with the sells. But now, just given the context of the market and how much momentum there is with the bears, trying to go against that might be a bit of a difficult proposition right now. In terms of dollar CHF, this one last time I checked was falling out the sky, and it still is doing that. Yeah, it's taking out some major lows, to be honest. I have to scoot to the monthly time frame just to see what's really going on. Yeah, it looks like this bearish trend is continuing. We've got major support then on the left on the monthly chart. Looks like support here has been broken through. Dollar yen was quite awkward. Dollar CHF was quite awkward because it kept breaking below, breaking above, breaking below, breaking above this level. And I was looking to see if price can start to hold it as support, but it did not at all this month. You can see March did respect it for a little bit. We had a kind of a consolidation there. And then April just completely capitulated, and we've broken through that level like it wasn't there. So in my book, dollar CHF is likely to keep falling as well. It looks like USD is likely to keep falling in general, so that's going to keep probably dollar CHF on that bearish trend. We've got major support down here. I'm pretty sure this is the all-time low support for dollar Swiss. I think so. It goes all the way back to 1971, and we haven't been lower since then. So this is probably the all-time low for dollar CHF. 0.78 is probably where we're going to end up. And now that we've broken through key support, this of course will turn resistance and would be a healthy place for a short. So yeah, dollar CHF's in free fall right now. I would suggest wait for some pullbacks, and perhaps a retest around 0.84 could look good. And then in my book, we'll like to keep falling. 0.78 is the next big target. The market is definitely quite stretched, so a pullback is likely, but I'm not interested in the buys at all, really. Not with the momentum, not with the levels we're breaking, and not with the likeliness of seeing price continue falling. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with dollar CHF. Not a lot to do apart from just wait for a pullback, to be honest. That's the best I've got with this one. Okay, so USD ZAR, Aussie dollar. So USD ZAR, as I mentioned this one previously, we had a nice test of that consolidation, which we mentioned yesterday. Of course, we're trading in that massive weekly zone, which we mentioned yesterday as well. Huge zone there, taking that across. Market struggled to sustain price at that level. Kind of formed a bit of a head and shoulder pattern with the left and then the head and then the right shoulder. And then price came back to test the consolidation just about yesterday. And then we had a nice sell. Now that that move has panned out, I'm not really seeing any other opportunity apart from perhaps some buys down here. When we originally broke out of this, I said if price was to come back and retest it, that could be a nice place for a long. It never happened. Maybe we're on our way to do that now because this is still a very large bullish move, and this still may just be the correction of that. So, price may still be bullish, but we are failing at the highs, so there's a bit of a red flag there. So, yeah, USDs are. I like the buys here, 18.9. Again, it's important how we get there, how we maneuver. If we kind of just sell off aggressively and see kind of like this, then I wouldn't be looking for the buys. If it's nice and corrective, then yes, I would look for a bounce. And perhaps it does take us back to highs, but I'll be a bit more conservative with the buy here. The fact that the market is respecting the highs is not necessarily a strong bullish sign. So maybe the market is going to have a bigger sell, especially if the dollar keeps falling too. But nonetheless, looks like a nice zone. Stalled there for a few hours. Strong break to the upside. A lot of momentum came from there. If price gets there again, we'll be banking that buy step back into the market and can drive price higher. In terms of Aussie dollar, still pretty bullish on this one. The way I'm looking at it is we had a very bearish week last week, and looks like price just kind of manipulated the lows a little bit, and now we're getting ready to push in the opposite direction. Potentially that big bearish candle from last week might have been a bit of a fake out, like a big climatic sell at the end of a trend for us to turn around. Sometimes we see that. We spoke about that recently on stream. When a market is quite tired, sometimes it will have one last big push and then it will reverse. And it looks like this could be that one last big push for Aussie dollar. The fact that we've had such a big candle, and as soon as the week opened up, we found a bit of support and turned around. So I think Aussie dollar lower time frames, there might be a nice sell here because we are still very corrective on the way up. We're coming back into a strong area of supply, really strong move to the downside. So I think naturally this is a nice space for a short. In terms of entries, I'll probably wait for another push back into the high, maybe a wick through that strong bearish engulfing candle. That could be a nice entry there. But I do think the bigger move is to the upside. So if we can pull back, this area looks really nice for a buy. This is where we had a bit of a consolidation, really. Then price broke that to the upside. If we can come back and retest that, I think that would be a solid place for a buy and a continuation. But I do think Aussie dollar is getting ready for. Oh, didn't mean to do that. I think Aussie dollar is getting ready for a big move like this in the coming weeks. Looks like this here is a bit of a low here. Every time we do sweep a low, price pushes right back up, So we tried to continue. It's not working. So naturally, I think a move higher is likely. But there might be some nice shorts to keep an eye on intraday. So if you're interested in selling Aussie dollar, we're at a nice place for that. We're pretty corrective as well. So the price action is aligned with that bias, but I think the bigger move is with the buy. So I wouldn't be looking to marry any type of short position just yet. Okay, so we'll go through gold, euro, and pound on the 15. Yusuf, please can you map out on pound USD on the 4-hour higher time frame first? I'm a bit confused with the structure. Okay, no problem. What's up, Hatham? BTC returned to tariff day low. I'm actually be keeping up with Bitcoin, to be honest, because it hasn't been moving that much, to be honest, compared to the other indices. But I think it's probably due something pretty soon. But I'll go have a look at BTC and the other cryptocurrencies. LFTJ, what's up? How do you fund the account go? Do you recommend funding? Yeah, I had to pause that account because of my firm that I was setting up myself, and I can't continue to trade with it because in the contract with Funding Pips, I'm not allowed to be associated with any other firm, and the fact that I have my own firm as well is definitely a conflict of interest. So I can't continue trading with them, but I will do a series with elevating traders, and of course, I do recommend funding. I recommend funding, but I also recommend having your own personal account because there's two different ways to trade, two different benefits as well. Of course, if you don't have a lot of capital up front, then funding is the best way to go. But even if you don't have a lot of capital up front, I think you still have your own personal account, even if it's relatively small, because you can grow that slowly and that'll be your bread and butter. And if you do make a mistake in your funding account, potentially you lose that account. Your personal account is still there through thick and thin, as long as you don't blow it, of course. So I do recommend funding, but I also recommend having a personal account. You don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. But yeah, there's definitely benefits with funding accounts. There's definitely benefits with personal, so use them both. Ian, what's up? Aussie CAD. Okay, let me go through the USD pairs first, and I'll take a look. No problem, Lighten. Happy to help. In terms of, I'll go with pound USD first since you asked that question. So in terms of pound USD, so the structure has been a bit chaotic, to be honest. You're right to be kind of a bit flabbergasted by it, because the way I was looking to trade pound USD this week was we had this range last week, price faked to the upside, we came crashing back down, and then price came back into the range here. So with pound USD, I'm actually looking for the retest of that for a sell. However, of course, we broke to the upside. So it's kind of a situation where we've faked upside, faked downside, and now we're breaking back above again. So the way I'm looking at it is price came back to test this range. This looks like it's the higher low. This was the recent high. This is the higher low. It looks like price is now going to push back to the high and just continue this bullish trend. The way price is kind of maneuvered is a very aggressive sell for a very aggressive buy. It's kind of looks like a big V-shaped pattern. So my expectation with pound USD is a bit of a correction, perhaps to retest the range, and then some continuations. It's definitely not the cleanest market in the world with the way it's been moving. Strong move to the upside last Friday, strong move back down, strong move back up. It's definitely zigzagging right now, but I do think price is its overall trajectory is still to the upside, especially with USD falling. It's going to be very difficult for pound USD to reverse that unless dollar sees some insane strength from somewhere. So yeah, pound USD is looking pretty bullish. I'm going to wait to see how the weekly candle does close because that will provide a lot of clarity in terms of momentum. Because the last 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks all found resistance here, and you can see that represented by the wicks there. This week's candle, big wick to the downside, coming back to test this area, and now potentially a very strong close to the upside. So if that's the case, that means that this resistance here is no longer holding. Price is successfully breaking through that, and that probably means that we probably will see next week push up as well, and perhaps take out that wick high there. So with that in consideration, I'm expecting us to pull back and continue. So in terms of market structure, we've got higher highs, higher lows, new high creates, market kind of fakes a little bit to the downside to create a new higher low. And now I'm looking at a new higher high. So that's the way I'm reading the market. In terms of the 15-minute time frame, if I drop to the 15, yeah, so the 15-minute time frame, things look pretty bullish. Let me just delete that out the way so the market's a bit cleaner. So yeah, 15 minutes, very bullish. I do like this range here. That could be a nice place for a long. It does depend how we get there. If this kind of just keeps bleeding, that would not be a good buy. But if we can be a bit slower, maybe see multiple candles on the way down, that could provide some nice longs for perhaps another push back to the high, keeping things pretty simple. The way I see it, this trend is still alive and well. Another retest of that range, that could be a nice trade back to the high there. And maybe you can leave some positions back to that high if you're feeling a bit more confident, trying to push the position. But yeah, pound USD to me is still very bullish. 50-minute chart, very bullish as well. Higher time frames like this is likely to continue. But I would wait for a bit of a pullback into a zone like this, 1.305. And that could be a nice entry, perhaps on the 5-minute chart for a long position. Euro chart looking very bullish as well. We've got major resistance, which we've clattered through, 1.12, 1.11. Those would be areas which naturally I would like to see some pullbacks into. But from a 50-minute perspective, yeah, the trend is still alive and well. I mean, with this one, you could see something like that back to resistance. Again, the idea with the lower time frames is that you're not looking to try and shoot for the moon here, especially when the market's already shot for the moon. Euro USD is already flown. The idea is that, okay, there's a lot of momentum in the market. I'm just looking to try and take a small piece of the pie. If we can see a pullback, a nice buy, gets back to resistance, I would just call it a day there, because I do expect to see this one retrace and have a pullback. It's quite overextended. Maybe we do see more upside, but I don't think we'll see anything too crazy unless something happens in the news, of course. But the market is quite stretched. I do think a bigger pullback is on the cards. So I'm waiting for one on the daily chart. I'm looking to see if we can get a pullback, back into this area here before I do get a buy. So that's still very much my plan with Euro. But yeah, maybe we've still got another 100 pips to move to the upside first, and that could be a nice place for a buy. So yeah, Euro USD, I like the possibility for a pullback, but at the moment, nothing quite there yet. And yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet on the lower time frames. A pullback, trendline confluence looks good. If we can stay nice and slow, see some rejections at that area, I think naturally that would be a nice place to look to enter a position, similar to the pound USD idea, and just take it back into resistance. Call it a day at the highs. You can always leave positions to trail, but I'll probably just bank that at resistance. No need to do anything special there. And in terms of gold on the 15 as well, same thing as well. Breaking to the upside. Oh, looks like we broke resistance there. We're having a little bit of trouble there this morning, but price is broken through. So again, naturally, that could be a nice place for a buy. I've marked on 3250 as the next big psychological level. Next big one will be 3300 up there, but looks like 3250 is our next point of call. Yeah, on the 50-minute chart, very confident trend. Frequent pullbacks, but very sharp recoveries as well. It doesn't take too long for us to recover and continue this bullish trend. So now that we clear resistance here, naturally that looks like a good place for a buy. I probably would wait for a slightly bigger pullback before looking for a retest though. But besides from that, yeah, I would only be looking to try and buy gold. I'd only be looking to try and buy gold. So yeah, breaking me test for 32.20 and longs back to highs. I think for gold, the best play is just to trail stops. I probably wouldn't even have a target. Maybe I might try and secure something if we do get to a psychological level, because gold's respected them pretty well so far. So 32.50, I think, would be a decent place to take some partials at. But I think the biggest thing with gold is just trail and stop loss, because you just don't know how far price will go. You don't know how far price will go. It might fly away to 3,500, and you could be onto a huge winner. And that's just the potential of gold right now. Okay, so I'll have a look at BTC and Aussie CAD. Not in any positions at the moment. I was taken out of Euro Yen this morning. So yeah, that was my only position for this week. I haven't had any position since then. Still looking to see if I can potentially short it, but I'm being very cautious because Euro, of course, is insanely strong right now. So I have to be very careful of that, but I'm still very bullish on the yen. So I'm expecting the yen to be strong and respective currencies to fall. But of course, with what's going on, euro has been very strong, so I have to be cautious there. It's going to be very important to see how the weekly candle close. I'll go over that in a moment. But in terms of BTC, I haven't actually looked at this one since yesterday. So what's it done? Okay, so it did end up pretty bearish yesterday, but so far it's recovered it today. I mean, it hasn't quite come back into my support level, which I wanted us to get into, which was 73, 74K around this area. This is a really nice level of resistance, which I was looking for price to bounce from. However, I haven't quite managed to get there. So, yeah, unfortunate. That would have been a missed opportunity there, because if we could see price spike into that, that would be nice, but we just missed it. But yeah, I think the big thing for gold, sorry, I don't know why I said gold, for Bitcoin is this trend line here. We've been very, very consistent, respecting it, lower high after lower high after lower high. And now, because we've been so corrective, I would expect us to eventually break to the upside, to be honest. If we saw a lot more momentum to the downside, then perhaps we could see a big correction. But because of how corrective we are, I do think we're likely to see some upside and perhaps another retest of some broken support, turn resistance there around 92K. I would say if we get a strong close above that, that could be a nice breakout opportunity. Bitcoin's pretty nice with its breakout, to be honest. The breakout entries do work pretty well because you expect momentum to kick in, and there's always, if price does break out and then closes back below the next candle, you can always get straight out. So the reward is always worth the risk there of breakouts here for Bitcoin. But yeah, I would probably keep an eye on this level here, 92K. So yeah, Bitcoin I would say I'm pretty bullish actually with Bitcoin. I do think we're going to turn around. I'm not convinced with the sales at all right now. If we were going to have that bigger move, I would expect to see more strength with this selling pressure. It's just been very corrective. Every time we created the new low, the market's quickly recovered. Creates a new low, quickly recovered. So I do think Bitcoin's going to push the upside pretty soon. I'm not too sure about push back to the all-time highs. Don't get me twisted. I'm not saying Bitcoin's going back to the all-time highs. Not quite convinced on that yet. It might just be a phase where we have a bit of a bullish move and we might sell off again. But I do think Bitcoin's got some upside to give. Okay, so I'll go through Aussie CAD and I'll take a look at Euro Yen. No problem. Yusuf, happy to help. Ahmed, okay, we'll take Euro 30. Again, Euro 30, Euro 15, same thing really. It's just very, very bullish. I'm looking for bigger pullbacks, but there's not a lot to do with it unless you're already in a position. You're waiting for a price to retrace there. In terms of Aussie CAD, so this one, it looks like NZD's a lot more bullish than CAD at the moment. But yeah, Aussie CAD trading at an interesting area. Very key support on our left here. So as we can see, a very big move to the upside there. Price came back into that same area. Another big move to the upside there too. So clearly this is a strong level of support. Price had a very strong close last week, but even that didn't really break through, kind of still just about holding as support. So I do think Aussie CAD, there is a bit of room to the upside for us in terms of a recovery. Whether we're still going to continue lower, that's a different question. But I do think there's some room to the upside for Aussie CAD. I did suggest a retest of this area as a nice place for a buy, because it looks like we found support here. We had first test, second test, strong move to the upside. I think a nice correction could provide a nice buy. I'd probably even look towards this area just for a slightly deeper pullback. That's a little bit shallow, especially when the market's kind of rounding off there a little bit. I'll be cautious of that. But a bigger push into this area, I do think we can see some similar momentum to what we had when we broke out. A sharp consolidation, nice break to the upside, looking at a bit of a correction back into that area. And again, nothing too crazy. If we can get pushed back into resistance, that's a great trade in itself. There is a lot of room for us to maneuver into to the upside, potentially to back to retest that low there as well. That could be a nice target to have, but I think that's a bit more of an optimistic outlook. I would definitely look to secure positions before that. See where all those wicks are collecting the 4-hour chart. 0.87 would be a nice initial target, and then you can always look to hold positions further. 0.885 looks like a nice secondary target to have. But yeah, Aussie CAD, nice level of support below us, demand, however you want to call it. I think that would be a nice place for price to get back to look for some entries. So yeah, Aussie CAD, bullish bias, massive support, respecting it. I do think naturally will push up. In terms of Euro Yen, so I was in a short position, but I did get stopped out of this one. I'm still very bearish, but I'm going to see how the weekly candle closes, because you can see for the past 4 weeks, there's been a lot of wicks to the upside. Price really struggled at this area. So that's basically the resistance I'm expecting to hold for us to sell off and come back into support. And if you look at pretty much every other yen pair apart from Swiss yen, every other yen pair has seen some downside. I've been looking at the yen basket quite a lot. This one's been very, very bullish too. I'm expecting the yen basket to eventually take out the wick high there as well. So I still see more upside for this one. And of course, if the yen basket is moving up, that means yen is naturally going to be very strong, which should give us a move to the downside for the yen, for Euro yen. However, that hasn't been the case purely because Euro has just been so strong. If you look at Euro USD, what's happening there? I mean, if you compare Euro yen to pound yen, you can definitely see the contrast there. Pound yen actually looking bearish. Well, in fairness, this week's actually a bit of a doji, but this one gap to the downside. At least it's going to close where it opened. If you look at Euro yen, it gap there. It's actually having a very strong week, but it's coming back into resistance. So this is where my attention is attracted towards, because if we can continue to respect that resistance, I still do expect us to roll over. This has been our trend line, which price has been focusing on and still being respected. So I don't want to see price break this resistance. If it does, then I hold my hands up. Maybe price is going to push to the upside after all. But if we continue to respect that, then I do expect us to eventually roll back over and see a push down. So it's going to be a very interesting week to see how it closes. So far, we are still respecting resistance. 4-hour chart's not doing too much for me right now. We've kind of broken above the resistance here, and it looks like we might be using it as support. So I'm going to wait to see how the 4-hour closes, wait to see how the 8-hour closes as well. And more importantly, wait to see how the weekly closes at the end of the week as well, whether we keep printing more wicks, or does this candle actually gain some ground and close a bit more bullish. Well, that'll be a bit of a red flag for myself. So Euro yen still pretty bearish. Still expect a big sell-off of this one, but I have to be patient, have to be cautious, especially when Euro is as strong as it is right now. It might not be a currency to mess with too much, so gotta be cautious. But yeah, with Euro on the 30-minute, again, it's just pretty much the same situation as the 15. Really is a clear uptrend. Pullbacks could look good there around 1.13. Clear higher lows and higher highs. So my anticipation is, can I find the next one? Can I catch the next one and swing it back into resistance? But I wouldn't be looking for anything more than that. If I can ride a move back into here, I know you won't be looking at such an insane risk to reward, but because the market's already it's already extremely bullish, hasn't had much of a pullback. This is kind of the biggest pullback we've had in the past month or two. It's definitely due a bit of a move to the downside Euro. And of course, the fact that we've taken out some major highs on the left here as well is definitely not a market to mess around with. So buys look good because that's where momentum lies, but you just want to be in and out, not trying to overstay your welcome. If you're looking for a long-term move, which I am for Euro, I think there could still be more upside. I just need to see a much bigger pullback first. And areas like 1.11, which is this level here, would be a interesting level to look to buy from. Why is gold running? Well, gold is gold. It's where people put their money in times of crisis, and naturally, gold's going to gain value. It's the thing you bet on when other things fail. And I suppose maybe a time like this, people are just a lot more cautious and parking their money in gold, and gold is absolutely soaring because of that. And yeah, it's flying, and it's been doing that since the start of 2024, actually. So it's been nothing new for gold since a year and 3-4 months ago. But yeah, gold is flying again. 3250 looks like the next big point of call, and there's not a lot slowing it down. So I would not be looking to try and short gold at all. Again, overextended. It's always a difficult concept to take into gold when things are overextended, because gold can just be bought heavily. And yeah, no one's really worrying about price overextended. Sure, it's going to have a pullback at some point, but it's going to dip and then it's probably going to continue anyway. So being very, very cautious about selling gold. I think if you're going to look to play gold, buys are the only thing that makes sense right now. Bitcoin is the new gold. Soon world will see. I think it might be the new digital gold, but I think you can't replace gold, because gold is still gold. Gold is still a raw material of the earth. Gold is real. Bitcoin is not real, essentially. We only give it, same with gold, to be honest. You only give gold value because, gold does have some uses, but it's a rare metal, so therefore it has the value, and Bitcoin is rare as well. So therefore it has value too, and because we give it value as well. But I think gold is still gold. It's still a real, it's a real piece of earth. So I think gold is always going to have that natural, value, whereas Bitcoin will still have that value, I think, long term as well. But I think I don't see how anything trumps gold, even Bitcoin. Look at gold and just laugh. I remember we used to analyze it 1616. Yeah, it's insane, to be honest. It's insane. 1616, it's pretty much doubled that. It's doubled that. Yeah, it's insane. And the thing is, we're going to laugh now at what 3230 it is at right now. Give it a few years, we'll be laughing. We'll be looking back and laughing how we used to analyze it back at 3230. Lighten trying not to overstay welcome. What is my TP is not hit. A bunch of okay, yeah. This is a very volatile time to be trading anyway. The markets are not always like this, of course not. So it's a very interesting time, especially if you're a newbie as well. It might be a bit overwhelming to trade through, but it's going to build experience, because there'll be one, economic drama that happens now, then there'll be another one in a few months, another one in another few months, there'll be another one next year, the year after that. Every time there are cycles, and the market has periods where things are very volatile, things are very fearful, or whatever is happening, and the market's going to have crazy moves. Then it will die down, the markets will be a bit more normal, more range bound, and then it'll do it again later on as well. And it's good to build experience, because it's going to happen again. So you want to kind of be able to stay calm in situations like this and not get carried away. Will this gold rally continue? I would think it would do. I don't really see any reason why it wouldn't. I think, again, we'll probably do a bit of a pullback at some stage, which is just a healthy way the market moves. If you look at pretty much any market ever, even markets which are sanely bullish, they're going to have their periods of pullback. So in terms of will it continue, yes, I think it will continue. Again, how much it will continue, how far it will go, that I have no idea. And there will be pullbacks as well. So it's not going to be just a straight line. This will be a nice rally. That's going to pause soon. That's going to have a pullback soon as well. But in general, I do think gold is likely to still see more, still see higher prices. That's true. It has the potential for that as well. It has the potential for that too. But my thinking is just that anything. My thing is just that the gold is just real. So therefore, it triumphs. It overcomes anything digital. Anything kind of man-made, because gold isn't man-made. It comes from the earth. Therefore, it has that natural rarity to it. Whereas, of course, Bitcoin has so much potential, and very much probably will replace fiat currencies pretty soon. But I feel like even just because it does that doesn't mean it gets more value than gold. That's just my opinion, anyway. Excuse me. Very ironic when it hits 10K a few years. I remember this video. Yeah, I remember this video as well. Yeah, I mean, that's insane. If Bitcoin hits 10K, Bitcoin hits 10K. If gold hits 10K, that would be 3x from now. But the thing is, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't eventually go and hit 10K. And again, that's still a long, long way away, but I just see gold gaining higher prices. Of course, it's going to go through different cycles. If I go to the monthly chart for gold right now, there's periods where it looks extremely bullish, like over here, lovely bullish move. They went through a kind of weird consolidation cycle here between 2013 and 2019. Then it broke out of that, went through another range there from 2020 to 2023. And then we've just been flying to the upside. Looks like this sort of price action is kind of what we had here as well. So eventually we'll see gold do something like this, probably have another big pullback at some stage and go through another cycle. But then again, we're probably going to rally as well. So just like we did over here, lovely boom, goes for a big correction, another boom as well. So I don't see what's stopping gold just continuing to fly. So yeah, I'll make sure I look back at this video when we do hit 10K. Watch list. Yeah, I'm about to redo my watch list for the upcoming week because it's Friday. This is normally when I'm starting to look at how the weekly, daily candles are closing and then start to prepare for the next week. But I'll go over the markets which I'm looking to trade for next week. To be honest, I'm still very keen on Euro Yen, so that still holds its place on the watch list going into next week. Of course, it does depend on the weekly candle close because let's say, for example, this week's candle does close and we still got 10 hours left. Let's say if we do close pretty bullish and maybe above that resistance, well, then I wouldn't be looking to sell it next week because that gives me the impression that resistance is actually breaking and we're likely to actually break to the upside, which is the opposite of what I want to do. So at the moment, it's still on the watch list, but it could be taken off if proven otherwise. Pound USD, I really like this one. Again, I want to see how the weekly candle closes, but if it closes anything like this right now, that confirms to me that resistance here is broken, and now I'm looking for retest and continuations next week. We've got some major highs over there, which probably where price is headed towards in the long term. We've got a high over there from last week, which is probably going to be a nice intermediate target to have, 1.32095. But that's probably the big target I'll probably look to trade towards. Secure most profits there, but leave some to run. Because yeah, it looks like we've had a lot of momentum here. Pause, tried to continue but failed, tried to continue down but failed. Now a strong close as well. So this resistance here no longer no longer holding price. So therefore, retest continuation will be the plan next week for pound. In terms of New Zealand dollar, it looks like we're getting a similar situation here as well. Big sell last week, didn't really amount to much, just come back, respected support. Now it looks like we're going to get a nice bullish engulfing candle here on the weekly chart. Of course, still 10 hours left. It could potentially pull back and look a little bit awkward. I just don't want to see price pull back below resistance here. You can see we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wicks into that resistance there. 7 wicks into that resistance. And didn't get a candle closure above that. Now this week's candle is potentially going to give us that engulfing candle, which successfully closes above that resistance. So again, next week, what I'll be looking for is a bit of a correction for that lower wick, and then a push to the upside. And probably looking at something around here for a target. Solid support there previously will be term resistance. I think that naturally will be a healthy target there for NZD USD. We could go a lot further than that, to be honest, but I think we'll play it a bit safe. The way I'm looking at this is that we've had a big bearish move. This looks to be a bit of a bottom to me, so I do think we can reverse. So NZD USD buys, pound USD buys. Aussie dollar, I want to see a stronger close, so I might add this to the watch list, I might not. Just get rid of all of that. It's the same situation as NZD USD. We found support. Price did break through it last week. Now it looks like we're recovering. So I do think Aussie dollar is going to eventually give us a nice push to the upside. But I probably want to see us get a nice bullish engulfing candle. So closing above that body from last week would be a nice weekly close, and that would give me a lot more confidence to buy Aussie dollar next week, because I know that supply has kind of just been invalidated. But yeah, if it does continue, then I'll add it. If not, I'll just focus on NZD USD. It's pretty much the same position anyway. So Euro Yen shorts, pound USD buys, NZD USD buys as well. At the moment, I think that is it, to be honest. But I'm going to have another look at the market when things are closed, and I probably will add maybe a couple more pairs to the watch list, depending if things look good, of course. But at the moment, those are the ones that I'm focusing on right now. CAD pairs, not so much. CHF pairs, I think there could be some nice buys there. They're very oversold, but I think CHF is still quite strong right now. I do like CHF JPY shorts, but it was just way too bullish this week. Really big move. This candle has to pull back quite a lot for me to consider shorting this next week. I still like this one. I'm still looking at these lower highs, 1, 2, 3. Potentially could be a fourth there. I still think there is room to the downside here for Swiss yen, but I'm going to need some CHF weakness big time before the weekly candle closes tonight, if I'm going to look to add this to the watch list. Because if anything, this is like a big bullish candle potentially breaking out. We've had some solid support going across here. We've got that trend line. Price has just been squeezing between support and trend line for a while. Is this price potentially breaking out to do something like that? I've been looking for something like this, but maybe I was wrong about that. So if I'm going to continue to focus on Swiss yen, I need this to start pulling back big time, which I don't think we will. We're just moving sideways right now. So yeah, it's looking far too bullish for me to short. So for now, those three I'm going to look at, and yeah, maybe 1 or 2 more might add to the watch list. I think I'll keep an eye on the crosses as well. They do look interesting. They might be forming some tops there as well. Not enough of a rejection there for me to get too excited for pound Aussie. How's pound NZD looking? Yeah, still holding support there. Euro NZD. So yeah, those are not ready to be shorted yet. They might see some downside next week, but not the reversals I'm looking for just yet. So yeah. Dollar yen, Edon. Okay, we'll have a look. See, no problem. What's up, Ben? What is up? Hope you're well. How's the trading week been? Average. Took a loss on euro yen. That's about it, to be honest. Yeah, didn't have any other position apart from euro yen. Only took one trade this week. But yeah, with how volatile everything has been, I've been a bit more cautious. I've been focused more so on the yen pairs, specifically Swiss yen and euro yen. But Swiss was just far too bullish. That just flew to the upside. So I was just focused on euro. Euro gave me a good entry, but euro just gained so much strength over the past couple of days. So I did not play ball at all. Besides from that, I've been a bit more cautious with USD, although I feel like I do have a good bias for a couple of them now. As the USD and pound USD looks good for next week. So hopefully you can find some entries for those. Are we looking for new lows on the US indices? Do you mean new daily lows or kind of like a new complete swing low as a continuation of the trend? Yeah, it is kind of crazy to watch. It is kind of crazy. Heavy momentum from DXY. Okay, let me have a look at dollar yen. So dollar yen, pretty bearish with this one. Just looking for us to push back into 140 pretty much. If we go to the weekly chart, we can see here very strong support. As we can see over there, and I'm expecting prices to get there again. We had a very strong level at 150, which we've completely cracked through. So as we can see, resistance once, twice, with support briefly. We've cracked through that. So 150 has been bypassed. The next level is subsequently 140, which is more or less around here. And that's where I'm expecting dollar yen to end up next before maybe we go for our next big bounce. So you can see we have a lovely bearish trend right now. Very consistent lower lows and lower highs. We've had another drop here for dollar yen previously. Of course, with USD weakness coming into the market, that's really helped things out. And now I'm looking at a correction and a continuation. And there's two levels which look good for us short to me at the moment. The retest of support there around 145, or the retest of that prior low around 146.5. But yeah, I still do see price falling here. So dollar yen overall, bearish. I'm still bullish on the yen currency itself. I still think yen's got more into the upside. And USD still looks really weak as well. I think there's more weakness to be had too. So dollar, yen, I still do see falling. And yeah, testing support there as well. So just want to see if we can get a decent pullback. This was a lovely move this week. Now let's see if we can correct that and give us a pullback too short. Lower than the low, lower low than the one we made on Monday. Oh, okay. So you're looking to see if price can really drop. So this one here. I'm not. The thing is, it's a bit awkward because, of course, that bullish candle on Wednesday. This one. It's made things a little bit awkward. Because before that candle, I was 100%, yeah, price is likely just going to keep falling here. There's no signs of recovery for indices, S&P at least. Momentum is likely just going to keep falling. Then, of course, Wednesday happened, very strong bullish candle. It's made things a little bit awkward right now. So I'm no longer expecting price to get to that wick low, but I'm not necessarily expecting price to get back to all-time highs yet. I'm kind of just on the fence, a bit neutral. I'm not too sure as in which low or high the market's going to maneuver to next. I need more information because this is a big candle. It has the characteristics of potentially a high low forming in the way we kind of recovered very sharply. But I want to see more evidence of that happening. So higher highs, higher lows. Then I'll say, okay, I'm bullish on the S&P. At the moment, there are some levels which I've drawn up, which price can respect for a buy, which so far it's doing pretty well at, actually. We're seeing quite a lot of wicks here, came back to retest that high. This was a really nice double bottom. First test, second test, really nice recovery. I spoke about some buys here, potentially just back to resistance, nothing too crazy because I don't really have a long-term bias yet. So I'm only looking at kind of shorter term plays. And of course, above us, we've still got a very solid level of resistance here, which could very much send price back down again, around 5,500 there. If we can respect that well, price can very much sell off. So in summary, I'm a bit more neutral in the S&P in terms of the bigger move. Short-term plays, that looks like a nice place for a buy. And so far, is holding off pretty well. But a bit more neutral. Wednesday just made things awkward. Yeah, exactly. Tough market is short, even though the trend is down. One tweet can send us 10% in 15 minutes. Yeah, it looks like we're just touching back to where we left off in Trump's prior enrollment as a president of the US. When we had Trump dropping tweets back in his first due, I remember that, and price was so volatile. USD will make some crazy moves. You wonder, you look to the economic calendar to see what's happened. Have you missed some news? No, Trump just said something, and it looks like we're right back in the thick of that again. Didn't have this with Biden. Trump is just on another level. Hey, what's up, CS Integrated? Hope you're well. For DXY, just wait after PPI, bearish for DXY. Intraday long trades for Euro, Pound, while NZD and Aussie seem out of steam. Yeah, they are losing some energy, to be honest. In the long run, lower DXY and inflation is the condition for the rate cuts. Yeah, you would expect so. I think even Euro could do that as well. BTC, okay, we'll have a look, see. But yeah, I mean, for dollar, I think it's sensible just to stay on the sidelines, to be honest. I think the play now is pullbacks on the dollar. I think we're due a pullback 100%. The market's been absolutely bleeding. It's taken out some major lows. This is not something I would be looking to sell until we get a pullback. I'm still pretty bearish on the dollar, but at least the pushback to 101.5 before I even consider shorting. At the moment, after we take out such major lows like this, I'm expecting upside. Now, not necessarily upside right now, as in we could still potentially drop again. But sooner or later, we're due a pullback. That's the main thing I'm looking for there for the dollar. So I think buys eventually, there will be some nice buys to take. As you mentioned, CS integrated. But I think wait until after the news. Just being a bit more cautious side of things, I think is a smart play, especially with how volatile everything is right now. Someone farts and we might see another spike to the downside. So it's a tricky one to take if you're going against that momentum. But I wouldn't be looking to short it, to be honest. So if I was to do anything, it would be a buy. But I'm waiting to sell it once it does pull back. But yeah, in terms of Euro and Pound, I like Pound USD. I like NZD USD as well because it looks like, it looks like we're running out a bit of steam, but it looks like we're going to get a strong close on the weekly chart for both Pound and NZD. So I'm liking the buys next week. for both of them. On the weekly chart here for NZD USD, it looks like price is breaking through resistance here. We had some solid resistance price we're respecting quite well. It looks like we're closing above that. Again, we still got 10 hours left, so have to be patient. But if we can get a close similar to this by the end of the week, that looks like a break of resistance to me. Retests, and then I'm expecting continuation. As the USD looks like we're finishing with a very strong close to the upside and engulfing the prior price action. So this to me looks like a bit of a bottom for this lovely bearish move. So that then leads me to expect more upside. So, and the USD does look like it's running out of steam because it is in resistance in fairness. So it's going to struggle here. So I'm going to wait to see how the weekly candle closes, because if it does pull back below this line here, around 0.5748, if it does manage to pull back below, well, we're back at square one. Price is still holding resistance. And at that point, you've just got a textbook range, really. No indication of a breakout. This right now looks like an indication of a breakout, but we've got to wait for the candle to close. But if, of course, if it does pulls back and just closes within the range, well then, yeah, there's no opportunity there for me next week, unless if you're looking to sell the high. Okay, we'll go through BTC next. No problem at LFTJ. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream, my man. If you are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. It takes 5 seconds, guys. And if you really are enjoying the stream, find it useful, show some love. I do really appreciate that. And of course, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. And yeah, I do really appreciate everyone who has subscribed and liked the stream. We'll have a look at BTC. Now I'm waiting for price action at 100.2. It will either reject or retrace further back to max 101.716. Okay. All right. Take care, Anthony. Have a good one, man. I appreciate it. Hope you have a good weekend, and hope to see you next week. Waiting for the XY price action, 100.2. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just going to wait till the end of the week before I really digest the price action for everything, because I'm not in any positions right now. I'm not really looking to get in, especially when the week's about to close. I think I'd rather just take a bit of a breather, see how we close for the week, see how we close for the day. Take things as it is on the weekend when the markets are closed and maybe emotions are a bit more level, and then I can start fresh going into next week. But it's been a crazy week, especially for euro, especially for dollar, especially for CHF as well. Even CAD's been doing crazy stuff too. Anyway, BTC. So Bitcoin, I actually am bullish on Bitcoin, believe it or not. In this time of crisis, I actually think Bitcoin's got some upside to give, which is actually a good thing. If Bitcoin's being bought during times of crisis, that means people are looking to Bitcoin for safety, which is a pretty big thing actually. But yeah, I do think Bitcoin has room to the upside, primarily because of how we've been moving. Price has been so corrective on the way down. Every time we do see a meaningful downside move, price recovers very quickly. Another downside move, price recovers very quickly. Another downside move, price recovers very quickly. So if price was really bearish, really trying to see a reversal, we probably would have more sharper bearish moves and a lot more sustained bearish moves as well. The fact that anytime we see a remote sign of a bearish move, price reverses quite quickly, there's a sign that the buyers are doing a pretty good job at coming right back in to send price higher. This trend line has held price in a bearish trend pretty well, but I do think sooner or later we will see a breakout of that. And a nice trade idea for Bitcoin could be taking the breakout opportunity. Bitcoin on a breakout is not such a bad idea. We broke through the resistance on a breakout there. If you enter the buy there, lovely trade. Even the sell here, a nice breakout there. I know we eventually come back for the retest, but even the initial reaction was a pretty decent trade, and that's just because of how Bitcoin moves. It has those kind of parabolic flushes of momentum. So perhaps a break of the trend line, we could see something similar. Of course, it's not going to work every time, but this could be a nice indication of some momentum coming to the market if we were to see a strong close above this trend line. Then in terms of targets, I'd be looking at this area. We've got a big pool of wicks there. I think naturally the price will be drawn towards that area. I'm not too sure about Bitcoin back to all-time highs. Don't get me wrong. I'm not necessarily favoring that just yet. But the way Bitcoin is moving, I do think we're falling a bit of a bottom here. So I do think there is upside to be had. Would it be nice if we did actually retest this level, which is what I was banking on Bitcoin doing, actually coming back to retest that level of support. Not quite the case. Maybe we do come back one more time, so keep an eye out for that. But I do think that trend line has got room to the upside. Okay. Gonna slow myself down. Got myself in some bad emotional trades. Already minimize my losses. Now moving on to the next trade. Yeah, good idea. Cease integrated. No problem, Ben. Happy to help. Yeah, there's no point trying to make it back because you trust your edge, and your edge will make the losses back. Not you yourself, but the edge will. When you try and get in the way of it, try and force things, emotional trades, it's just not a good place to be in, because it's so stressful as well. Because you really want to trade to play out to recover a prior loss. You're not really thinking straight. You're thinking more with your heart rather than actually price action, and that's always a tricky place to be. So yeah, I think that's a good move, especially in a week like this one. It's not a regular week. It's not just a normal week in the markets with how volatile everything is. So if you're going to make mistakes, you're going to get punished a lot worse now than you would have done, a few weeks ago. So yeah, I think playing it safe is not a bad idea, especially when it's so close to the end of the week as well. It's Friday. It's not like the start of the week. It's the end of the week. Price is going to be getting ready to close and slowly start to tail off in terms of momentum as well. I know we got some news in the afternoon which might cause some havoc, and you could see some interesting headlines as well. But I think playing a bit more cautious is not a bad idea. Being bullish, not fancying the all-time highs, foreseeable future. Yeah, that's kind of the same as me. It does look like price has tried to sell on quite a few occasions, but just hasn't really done much. If I have a look at Ethereum, different story though. Although Ethereum as well is looking like it's running out of steam a little bit too. Very, very corrective here. I do think soon enough we'll see a bit of a push. Again, I'm not suggesting Ethereum back to highs though. I think that's still a bit far-fetched. But I do think we do recover, perhaps to come back and retest some support there on the left. We might kind of recover to get to that degree and might still sell off. XRP, this one as well, doing a okay job at respecting support there. So again, and we're still very corrective too. So I think for this one, we could probably still see some upside. Again, I'm not too sure about something like this, but it might have a brief recovery before maybe selling off again, potentially there as well. So I think Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies might have a bit of a relief. Not too sure how long it lasts though. Not convinced. But then again, it's very difficult to predict something like this happening. No price action is really going to indicate that. That's just XRP being heavily bought there. That just happens out of nowhere. So it's difficult to predict stuff like that. But in terms of support holding, it does look like we'll like to see a bit of a push up. Yeah, that's a fair shout as well. Sees integrated. Might see some upside, but it might not go very far. Lighten, you're acting like I've got a say in terms of what the market's going to do next. I have no say in terms of what the market does next. But of course, my bad. I should have thought you. My bad. I'll refrain from saying that next time. But yeah, I have no say in what the market is doing. I wish I did, but I don't. So yeah, in terms of my focus, I think euro yen potentially could invite me into a position if I see a big enough rejection. But I think the smarter move is just to wait for the new weekly candle to open up and just get in on that. Because again, sorry to potentially scare you again, Lighton. The possibility of something happening over the weekend is a pretty big possibility as well. And let's say if you get into a position, you hold over the weekend, some headlines come out over the weekend, and then you see the market gap like 200 pips. That could be very awkward when the market does open up. It could be in your favor, which will be great. Happy days. Could be against you, and it doesn't even matter if you have a stop loss as well, because if price gaps above your stop loss, you'll be filled at the next available price. So even if you have got a stop loss in, you'll be triggered at wherever price gaps, and you have no control in that as well. So that could be a little bit interesting as well. So I think just waiting for the weekly candle to open can save a little bit of stress there. Of course, if it does gap in your favor, you kind of miss the trade. Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer as well. But at least you probably won't be. You can actually enjoy your weekend. You're not stressing over a position. But yeah, I still like Euro yen to the downside. Still really struggling at this area. The main thing I'm looking for is continuous wicks into the zone. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5 with this weekly candle here. Still wait for it to close, but it looks like it's being respected. Of course, we've got the trend line to our left there as well. First test, second test, third test. As long as we don't show signs of breaking through this, well, then I'm expecting price to roll over. And that is the direction I'm expecting us to push into. So very, very bearish on Euro yen. Of course, Euro is just a little bit volatile right now, so it might be a bit of a scary currency to short at the moment with how bullish it is. So yeah, that's the only kind of drama involved with this one. But in terms of pure price action, I think it still looks good. I mean, it's been quite awkward, to be honest, very sideways. But if we keep rejecting resistance, then that still gives me confidence that the trend is likely to keep pushing down. And of course, if I look at other yen pairs, pound yen, bearish, CAD yen, for the most part, bearish as well. Aussie yen, bearish for the most part too. New Zealand yen, pretty bearish too as well. And of course, dollar yen, the most bearish. So yen is definitely stronger than most currencies, just not euro and definitely not Swiss. This one I'm definitely backing away from some sells. Unless we can get a really nice recovery and this continues to pull back for the rest of the day and leaves a big wick there to the upside. If it does leave a big wick, then again, I'll probably look to jump in next week for some sells. I'll pick between Euro yen and Swiss yen. I'm not looking to trade them both. But if this can provide a big wick to the upside and doesn't close strongly above the trend line, then I'll keep it on my watch list. If it closes anywhere it is right now, I'm going to stay away from Swiss yen because maybe Swiss is just very strong. It's not done yet. I do think pairs like Aussie CHF is due a recovery. This has had a really big sell. I do think it's due a recovery. This is at all-time lows as well. Typically, we do recover pretty soon afterwards. New Zealand CHF, likewise, CAD CHF. Likewise as well, we are due a recovery. So I do think CHF weakness is on the horizon, but timing is everything when you're trading. Maybe we're a week too early for the CHF weakness. So I'll see how the candle does close. But yeah, for now, I'm just going to monitor. Of course, the weekly analysis comes out on Saturday, so do look out for that. Yeah, I'm just going to wait to see how the price action develops for the rest of the day, see how everything closes, and then I can really refine my watch list for the next week as well. So do look out for the weekly analysis every Saturday. It is on the channel, so look out for that. But guys, really do appreciate you tuning into another stream. I do appreciate each and every one of you tuning into the stream, chatting with me, engaging in the comment section, liking the video. It does really help out the stream. If you haven't liked already, please be sure to go and do so. It does help out. And make sure you do subscribe to the channel as well. That helps out too. And it keeps you in the loop of things. Definitely by hitting the bell or notify you whenever I do upload. Check out the Discord channel for elevating traders, completely free to join. Link in the description below. Any updates there, you can join discussions, share ideas. I share ideas there too. So if you're interested, go check it out. Completely free to join. Link in the description. But guys, have a great weekend. Have a great Friday. And as always, next week I will be live every weekday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So hope to see you guys there. But have a good day, have a good weekend, and I'll catch you all in the next one.